Click subscribe right now to be Adonis. First thing, you can't believe in like this fictional imaginary Giga Chad like fantasy if you use Wojaks to this fucking degree. You are like freak level. This is bad. Like, don't ever use these if you want to come across as like a confident person. Anyone who uses a Wojak unironically is like extremely insecure. Like, if this is how you have to like conceptualize the world in like silly MS Paint drawings that like Nazis use, like, okay, cool. What's a Wojak? These weird like 4chan pictures.
Jeffrey wants to impress his crush. Jessica, look, I'm in touch with my feminine side. Masculinity is so toxic. I hate Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate should be cancelled.
Ugh. I don't know if that has aged very well, my man. He's in prison after a multiple month-long investigation into rape and sex trafficking allegations. You know, good luck defending that, fucking piece of shit.
It's okay to be weak. Jeffrey, what are you doing? Jeffrey! Have you given up your masculine birthright? Have you turned into a wimp? You do realize, Jeffrey, that no man...
Bro, you just said birthright. Hello? Man is forgetting Adonis died by being gored by a boar. That's a funny way to die. Birthright? It's always British people. It's always British people.
I will respect you if you're like this. Adonis! Adonis actively tries to increase his masculine energy so that he can enjoy a beautiful polarized relationship with Anastasia. He hears Jeffrey talking about toxic masculinity and he chuckles. Jeffrey still has a lot to learn. I need to do better as a leader to help him. Over 10% of Gen Z males consider themselves to be very feminine. A lot of...
Okay. Like, big deal, man. Like, I can point out like 6 feminine features on your face right now, brother. Like, whether or not you identify with those traits or not, and like associate them with masculinity or femininity or not, is like irrelevant, really. Yeah, bro, you got your eyebrows done. Come on now. You're in your pajamas. Drop your skincare routine, king. Bro's got his tits out. Like, this is just sad.
Guys don't even realize what feminine or masculine energy is, so you might not even know if you are feminine. But understand this, if you are feminine, you will never...
Like, I hate when people take energy seriously, like masculine and feminine energy. Like, this isn't Dragon Ball Z. You know what I mean? Groomed equals feminine. Unironically, in his brain, yeah. I'm not saying that. Yeah, wearing a necklace, you got jewelry on, really? Like, what's up with all these Wojaks? I don't know, man. There's a lot. It's too much. This guy talks about semen retention. Well, he's going to be my favorite guy then. But yeah, like, energy isn't fucking real. Every time someone says energy, replace it with vibes. Because that's what they're actually talking about.
Never dominate a woman. She will dominate you. Because if you are feminine, she has to be masculine. There has to be this...
Wait, I was radicalized by sensitive society and people like you and Nick helped me leave the right? That's awesome. Congrats.
Polarity. Which means that if you are feminine, she will be in charge. You'll be like the little... boy that she's looking after.
Listen to me. Sigmund Freud was a fucking quack. No, dude. Dominant, like...
feminine of him to have a bed. Real men sleep on broken glass.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that just goes to show exactly how fragile and malleable these ideas of masculinity and femininity are, right? Like, bro's got an off-white headboard that matches his walls. Like, did you hire an interior decorator? That's kind of fruity. Or did you do it yourself? Because that's not better. You know what I mean? Like, I can literally just start saying, like, masculinity, you know, is when your life sucks and you're miserable. Because that's what most people say, right? So masculinity is like sleeping on broken glass, sleeping outside. Like, it doesn't matter. And then he's like talking about like being a dominant person in a relationship when it comes to like the like gender roles. The way he illustrates it completely ignores gay relationships and queer relationships. Have you noticed that? Every time these motherfuckers are like, you need a relationship with balance of masculine energy and feminine energy. What about two gay dudes? Like, not even making it complicated with like how that gender is expressed or like their level of queerness, whether one's bi, whether one's pan, whether they're poly, whether, you know, one of them's trans. Like, not even complicating it that way. Just saying, what about two men? Because saying, like, which one of you is the girl is extremely homophobic. But they're allowed to reinforce this idea through hetero relationships when it's like if it doesn't apply across the board, then it's not very good advice, is it? It's not very true if it's not applicable to all people. You fucking idiot. These guys fancy themselves some kind of fucking psychologist. They should see a gynecologist. You know what I mean? He's a closeted gay. No, that's not necessarily true. I don't know who this guy is. He's just weird.
You'll never dominate her like some other guy may have. When I tell men
Not everyone wants to be dominated. I'm assuming because you advocate for these fucking rigid gender roles that you don't either. So why do you assume that women want to be? That's so weird.
this, what it means to be feminine, which is submissive, what it means to be masculine, which is dominant.
Is that all it is? Are you breaking it down to that like basic of principles? Because that's just not true. That's empirically and anecdotally not true.
Suddenly they start paying attention and they're like, oh fuck, okay, my new goal is to become more masculine. How do we?
Yeah, because of insecurity, not because you're right. You're just making people feel insecure. So you're like, oh, fuck. That's it, man. Enough. Gender is just your kink preferences. Yeah. And there's only 2 of them. God, this guy looks fucked up. He looks fucking mad at me.
We do that. Well, first of all, why are so many men so feminine to begin with? Well, you can take one look around, look at the media, look at the movies, look at everything. Look at the bullshit conditioning, look at the feminization of the education system. You go through school and you're taught to sit still, cross your legs, squeeze your nuts in, and not to act
The fuck school did you go to, brother?
like a boy. The teacher's the fat, female, obese teacher.
Oh my god! Whoa!
Feminization of the education system. You go
The feminization of the education system. So this is how politics and fascism hides itself in in fucking alpha male ideology, right? This is a great example.
My guy went to nut squeeze school. It sounds pretty gay.
Yeah, nut squeezing school. I mean, fuck, dude. Like, he's simultaneously being like, public education is bad because feminism. And then he's saying, like, I mean, fuck. He's saying, like, the media is bad because it feminizes people, which is just, like, brain dead, bro. Like, that's, like, absurd. The media reinforces gender roles. That's where they come from, is culture and society. Is it gay to have a penis? Yeah, it is. Sorry. Yeah, bro is wearing a Snuggie. What the hell? Like, the idea of, like, men don't cry comes from media. And comes from, like, societal standard. Or it doesn't come from media, but it's reinforced by media.
look at the bullshit conditioning, look at the feminization of the education
The bullshit condition. What does that mean?
system. You go through school and you're taught to sit still, cross your legs, squeeze your nuts in, and not to act like a boy. The
Did he accidentally get sent to an all-girl school? Like, what? What are we watching? This, like, weird freak.
teacher's the fat, female, obese teacher sees you and your friends pushing each other in the grass, and she'll start shouting at you, "What?" You've been raised to be feminine because that is
She'll start shouting at you, what? Hello?
the way to be successful in the school system. The
That's not true. Bro is, like, homeschooled or something and has, like, mommy issues.
ultra masculine boys, isolation, detention, juvenile detention centers.
Yeah, the ultra masculine. Like the kid who, like, brings a knife to school.
People like him treat feminine and masculine like they're inherently opposite and
Yeah.
like biological traits when in reality they're arbitrary social constructs.
They're extremely arbitrary, and not only are they arbitrary, but even the most rigid version of masculine and feminine gender roles still overlap.
And you might think, oh yeah, but those guys are really bad and stuff, but like, they needed our help. The truth
Like, this shit is bullshit. This guy doesn't give a shit about, like, troubled men and troubled boys and boys who needed help. He doesn't give a shit about that. He doesn't care at all. But he's throwing that out because, like, we failed them because they didn't fit into the societal feminist agenda, which is, like, absurd, especially in the UK. That's crazy. You just, like, have to be stupid.
true masculine men, the ultra masculine men, are either in some detention center or in prison. And you might say, yeah, well, you know, they're criminals and stuff, but they
Yeah, whatever. I mean, no, that's not why people go to prison. Like, if you want to be sympathetic toward people who are victimized by the prison system, I mean, it's usually because they're poor or people of color, right? That's just the way it is, especially in America. And they're not poor because they're masculine. They're poor because of the fucking way capitalism is constructed to maintain poverty. Yeah, crime is masculine.
They needed our help. They needed a good system that developed the healthy parts of their masculinity, that created a life for them where they didn't need to lash out. But you want to know the real reason why so...
What's interesting is he's describing toxic masculinity. He's saying, like, we don't reinforce the good parts of masculinity because we punish toxic...
This dude saying that super masculine...
I want to turn off the TTS, I swear to God.
...is self-admitting to being not a super masculine man.
Yeah.
Which for him is the worst thing ever.
That's pretty funny. I mean, I'm sure he went to, like, detention in school and stuff. Like, he's talking about partially his own experience. But yeah, he's saying, like, people who exhibit toxic masculinity are never taught the way to actually express their masculinity in a healthy way, right? I mean, that's the correct take, but he's not really getting close to that. Guys, look at this. Wait, look at this. Wait, look at it. It's a milk dud. It's a milk dud. Look, wait. Among Us? Among Us? It's a chocolate milk dud. Among Us?
Weak and feminine. It's because we've been living in the good times. We've been in the good times for a while. It's safe for a lot of people.
What's the good times, brother? Was it COVID? Was it the 2008 financial housing crisis? Was it the slow evaporation of the middle class? The war on terror? What are the good times? You stupid cocksucker. This shit pisses me off so much. Yeah, was it fucking Brexit? That's the good times? Boris Johnson? Listen to me. Motherfuckers who say that we're in the good times because the strong men create good men create weak times, weak times create good men, or whatever. Sorry, I didn't mean to do chewing ASMR. You're not in touch with reality if you think we're in the good times right now. You're exhibiting an extreme and insufferable amount of privilege. You're throwing out this fucking bullshit that signals to everyone around you, my life is awesome. I don't see the consequences of disastrous policy. So this must mean we're in the good times. And it's just another way to throw out this fucking feminist scapegoat, right? Where it's like, we're in the good times because of feminism, but also we're in the good times and that is creating feminism, but also feminism is destroying the good times, which doesn't really make sense, does it? Kind of a fucking contradiction, yeah. Like, things could almost not be worse. Like, what's up? What's the good times? Just a bit of banter.
A long time, right? Maybe not so much now, but for a long time we were in the good times, we were in the safe times, and that's how you've been able to see the development of weak people having a voice, because that's...
Yeah, like you, motherfucker. Like you. That's the fucking thing that pisses me off, is these motherfuckers like Andrew Tate exclusively describe themselves when they talk about shit like this. These weak men that have come out of privilege. Yeah, you, asshole. Literally you. Weak men who sit around on their fucking fragile idea of masculinity, defending the most fucking insane and obnoxious and harmful behavior over and over again, regardless of who it comes from, because you were defending a sex trafficker and a rapist at the beginning of this video. That's a weak man. And who tell other men, fucking rudderless, aimless men, in your fucking comment section that this is the way to be. Like, this motherfucker is the weak man who creates the bad times, because a strong man is one who can fucking admit when he's wrong, who can admit that he's fucking toxic when he is. And you know what? I'm being toxic. That's fucking toxic masculinity. He's fucking screaming at this stupid cocksucker, but it's worth it. And it's important because we live in the bad times, and bad times necessitate this shit. And I'm not saying that toxic masculinity is a necessity in bad times, but like, fuck, man. Like how? How are you going to defend a rapist and like imply that masculinity and femininity only rely on being submissive or dominant? Like, you just don't know what you're talking about. You're just saying what makes you feel good, dude. Like, it's fucking pathetic. And it is. It's the most soy, like, sad, weak bullshit. He's weak because he's stupid? No. He was born stupid and was too weak to change. That's it. That's all it is. Because you can be stupid and be right. I'm stupid. Dumb rich dudes always think they're brilliant. Dumb rich narcissists always think they're brilliant. He was born stupid and was too weak to change. That's what a toxic man is. And that's what we don't need. And this guy wants more of him because he's so narcissistic that he believes that without changing the way he thinks, without exposing himself to any other ideas, without even engaging in empathetic behavior, he thinks that he's correct. And more people should be like him. Bullshit. He should go fuck himself.
It's never been a thing before. Weak people don't deserve a voice generally, especially in harder times when we're more...
And I fucking fully agree, asshole. Because that's you.
More about survival. But when you've had a really good time, prosperous time...
Yeah, it's about survival. Bro should literally just go fuck himself. Like, this is insane. Yeah, this is the hard times, guys.
And there's no war in the West, actually in the home territory.
Hello? Okay, this guy's just a fucking moron. There's no war in the West. Yeah, man, any minute the UK is gonna get invaded. The fuck? They have nukes, you fucking moron. You dumb asshole. Like, you just don't know anything. Like, we're not even talking about America. We're talking about just the UK alone. No war in the West.
Sorry. Well, then it's time, we may as well give that dickhead with low testosterone a voice, and, he's going to shout about feminism and stuff, and he's going to say that masculinity is bad, and he's going to say that Andrew Tate is toxic. People like that who
So wait, is he saying there is war in the West?
are convincing you to be a little bitch. Have a voice right now, because they're safe to do so. The good times have been here.
Yeah, dude. He really fucking...
But they're over. There's been countries that have been in turmoil, for the last 10, 20 years. They haven't been well off. But the West has always been relatively strong and safe. And if we...
it's because of nukes. It's because of nukes. It's because of nukes. It's because the American military is worth like $100 trillion, dude. Hello? How basic of concepts of how the world works do I have to explain for people like this to understand?
Take one look at the UK, where I'm from. I don't live in that shithole. We do take a look at the UK. The people there are cold. The people there are hungry. So is this not a third world country? Is it not? If the people are cold and hungry, that is a third world country. And
Oh my Bro's got 1 million subscribers. What do I say to that?
I'm not saying, cold because the weather's cold. People can't afford the energy bill in the UK. They can't even afford their grocery bills. People lining up for food stamps and, the food banks skyrocketing. People...
Yeah, so we shouldn't fund those, right? We shouldn't, make that easier to access. Also, that's not true. Skyrocketing, yeah, but it's not that bad.
People stood out in the cold hoping to get a loaf of bread in the UK. So when there are hard times...
Yeah, and that's all you need to be a third world country. That's all it is.
Like these. This is when...
the nature of being a third world country is being vulnerable to the exploitation of the first world. That's the point, right? A third world country is a country that has been destroyed by a first world country. That's where the term comes from. And also stands to be potentially destroyed by a first world country, even more so. Yeah, what does he think the third world is in reference to? Third to what?
You start to see the development of masculine men start to arise and actually being appreciated. When you see a man like myself...
Yeah, this guy really... He's been paying attention to the men.
Telling you to become more masculine, become a stronger man. A few years ago, this was seen as a joke. I was seen as cringe, misogynistic. And now...
No, you are still seen that way. You've just learned how to appeal to the fucking dumbest people imaginable.
Very often I see comments of people saying this is the most important thing in the world right now. This is life-changing. This is world...
Classic defense, right? There's comments that tell me I'm good. And that's core to narcissism. Every content creator is narcissistic to a certain degree, but the most narcissistic content creators will look at a comment praising them and use that to justify their actions. I don't give a shit how many nice comments you guys give me. I don't take it seriously. In my head, there's still an acknowledgement that you are biased. And I'm it's great. It's nice of you to say it. But I'm not defining myself based on what other people are saying about me. That's what a weak man does.
To change it. The world needs more masculine, strong, hardworking men.
To do what? For what? What are they going to do? What are they going to do to solve the world's problems? He's saying people are hungry and cold. So if they're more masculine, they will be what? What's the next step? Like, get masculine, ? Profit. Okay, cool.
That's a common sense statement, isn't it? And yet, it feels a bit toxic to say that. The world needs working men. That's just life changing. This is world changing. The world needs more masculine, strong, hardworking men.
Masculine, strong, hardworking men. He says, that feels toxic to say. Well, what do you mean by that? If you mean it in a toxic way, then yeah, it is toxic. Like, what is masculine? Dominant? The world needs dominant, hardworking men? You think they don't exist? And I don't even think the world does not rely on that. So many artists and inventors and fucking philosophers were weird, autistic, fucking neurodivergent, like, weirdos. Nikola Tesla was like a quiet, like, you know, creepy little guy. You know? Like, the OG soy boy, but like he created a better invention than the dude who stole it from him. The supposed alpha. What do you mean Nikola Tesla fucks? I mean, yeah. No, I'm not saying it as a neg. I mean it. And like, that's just who he was, though. He made friends with pigeons, and that's great. Good for him.
Common sense statement, isn't it? And yet, it feels a bit toxic to say that.
Like, what do you mean it's a common sense statement? It's not. It just makes you feel good.
The world needs hard-working, strong, masculine men. It seems like I'm slightly at risk for saying that. It seems like I could potentially be cancelled for saying that. Why? Because the big companies who own the internet, who decide whether or not we have free speech, well, they've been developed in the good times, and so they still have those values. You know, feminine...
Bro, what do you mean by that? Like, ancient Greece was, like, extremely gay. Like, is that the good times or the hard times or the what? What's up?
Values of cooperation and friendliness and political correctness and stuff, because they've been able to afford those values whilst we've lived in safe, nice times.
What is political correctness? Like, what risk does that pose? What damage does that do other than just like make you sad?
Things are changing. Even though the title of this video is that men are more feminine than ever, I'm actually beginning to realize that this is not the case anymore. I think 6 months ago, 1 year ago, this was 100% true. But with the global message that's being now spread by men like myself, like Andrew Tate, young men are waking up.
Rapists like Andrew Tate, okay?
We're realizing what it means to be a man. We're realizing
men are listening to racists.
That we want to become masculine. We're realizing
I meant rapists, but I said racist. A little Freudian slip there.
That this bullshit conditioning that we went through that told us to be weak and submissive and feminine, that was going to be good for us or society.
Bro, what's one example of being told to be submissive? Submissive to what? To whom?
Us to want.
Like, if that's the thing, right? Dominance and submission can't exist without one or the other. So there's still dominant people. If all masculinity is dominance, and too many men are becoming submissive, yeah? Somebody knock on my door? Maybe not. Yeah, to other men or to women, which means women are being masculine. So like, there's still masculinity in his view. If there are submissive men, then that means there's dominant women. Is that a problem for you?
To kill ourselves. We realize that there is some evil propaganda out there. That kind of propaganda that's telling you that you should be feminine, that you should be emotional, you should
you should be emotional. Yeah, toxic propaganda, okay.
Open up and be vulnerable to your girlfriend. Seems like good advice, doesn't it?
Dude, this guy's awesome.
It makes sense, yeah. You know, she's your girlfriend. You've heard this advice before, to be feminine in front of the woman who loves you, and you slowly are waking up to the realization that advice was...
So here's the thing. Earlier in the video, he said masculinity is dominance and femininity is submission. But then he's saying femininity is when you're emotional to your girlfriend. Is that submission to your girlfriend who's being dominant? I mean, it's not. Being emotional is not submission. Only weak men think that. Oops. This goes hard on mute.
Thing that he opened up, got vulnerable, cried in front of his girlfriend, and then the sexual attraction diminished. And they're wondering why. And as soon as they understand in literally just one sentence...
That's a fantasy, by the way. Like, if you cry in front of your girlfriend and she leaves you, she's not for you. That's not your fault.
That feminine woman can't be attracted to a masculine man.
But weak men internalize everything that happens to them. instead of understanding the way the world actually works.
Who breaks down and shows his feminine side. They understand it. It's common sense. You know, every step that you take towards becoming more masculine feels right, doesn't it? Every step. You listen to these videos with some kind of nice, positive feeling inside of you. Like, a part of it hurts. A part of it pisses you off that you followed the bullshit advice from everyone else. But you listen to videos like this, and it gets you,
Oh my God.
like, some level of, like, energy and excitement, because you're like, finally, this makes sense. This is how I'm supposed to live. I'm supposed to have males around me. I'm supposed to be in male circles, male spaces. They need us now. Every young man that I meet these days tells me the exact same thing. Hamza, how can I make more money to provide for my family? Hamza, my family is struggling. How can I help them? How can I develop myself so that I can build myself up?
Bro, get a job. Like that's how you fix your family or whatever. Get a fucking job. Quit fucking chirping and cheeping on the internet all day. Quit fucking sitting around watching alpha male videos on how being emotional is bad. Just fucking get a job.
And eventually provide. We're seeing the rise of young men reclaiming their masculinity, and the world will thank us for this. Not just yet. There'll be more demonizations, there'll be more cancellations, maybe of myself, but soon, very soon in the future, when
Maybe of myself. You know what's interesting that no one ever talks about? And I was looking this up for fun. So trigger warning, we're talking a little bit about suicide, because fucking idiot assholes like this love to constantly bring up the male suicide rate, male suicide rate, male suicide rate. It's so high. Oh my God, it's so high. Young men are killing themselves. The majority of male suicides happen between 45 and 75. The most happen 75 and older, bro. Look at that gap. I mean, that's 10 to 14. Even that. That's an insane difference that nobody fucking acknowledges. Not only that, but it's not like skyrocketing like people say. It skyrocketed in the 20 teens for sure. But it's plateauing anyway. Yeah, they never want to talk about trans men suicide either. But, I mean, look at this, bro. 28.3 per capita versus 40.5. 75 and older. Okay? They don't care about this? Of course they don't. Yeah, male suicide attempts are also the same frequency, if not less, than suicide rates for females. It's only the success rates that are different. That's true. And that has to do with a lot of factors, including gun ownership. But, yeah, are trans men included? Probably not. I'm going to be real with you. But even this number, that is the highest, is still lower than 20 years ago. By 2%. So it feels like kind of a fucking made up issue, doesn't it? Like, of course it's an issue. Don't get me wrong. But it's way blown out of proportion by these fucking freaks that have no idea what they're talking about. What's happening to men 75 and older in 2000? I mean, this also corresponds with, like, survival, if you think about it. I mean, I don't know if the year 2000, maybe Y2K, I don't know. And then it, like, goes down quite significantly and then creeps up in the aftermath of 2008. Obama becomes president. I don't know, maybe old men get really upset about that. A lot of these guys would be Vietnam veterans, and I think that's a huge proportion. Yeah, Vietnam, Korea veterans, recession, COVID probably caused a spike as well. Gulf War veterans. A lot of these are probably either veterans, or probably what makes up the majority of them are people who are saddled with extreme medical debt or medical conditions that they cannot pay for. I'm gonna be real. That is probably the number one reason.
The thing that gets me is part of the reason men choose more lethal means of suicide is because of toxic masculinity like these weirdo internet guys.
That's true. Men don't have a cry for help moment, typically. And there's not as many warning signs because of toxic masculinity. So not only does he not care about the male suicide rate, but he's making it worse.
These Western companies like YouTube, Google, everything, when
these Western companies,
the Western countries start to extremely suffer, and the hard, strong, disciplined, unemotional, stoic men who have been demonized for so long come back in to help those countries.
What's that, bro? The stoic men? Like the veterans and, you know, the old people. Like, ironically, what's funny is that he literally is like advocating for values that this generation would have had. This is the most toxically masculine generation, bitch. This is it. And you notice as people become more feminized, apart from this, I mean, these are still boomers, but as people become more feminized, oh, what do you know? The suicide rate is lower. What a fucking idiot, dude. What a fucking ungodly piece of shit. Because it's like, I've never thought about it like this, where it's like he's advocating for the toxic values that led this that caused this gap. I mean, bro, if you're 75 years old in the year 2000, like, you're definitely not woke. But look, you're fucking 15 to 24, 25 to 44. It's so much lower. And there's a lot of other factors too. But this is undeniably going to be the most toxically masculine per capita. It's just so pathetic.
They'll celebrate the strong men just a couple of months after wanting to cancel them because they live in safety. And these people don't even realize that their safety,
like, bro is in a mansion right now.
Their good times have been built from the strong men who have passed. So when there's safety, these good times are ending now. And they're going to experience some turmoil. They're going to experience some hard times because they just destroyed men. They made men weak.
Forcing toxic masculinity by demeaning him for being too weak to break out of his upbringing.
Yeah. A little bit. But there's different elements to toxic masculinity, and some are worse than others. I'm demeaning him for being weak because his kind of weakness is destructive. My kind of supposed weakness, which is just, being emotional, demonstrably is less harmful.
They will experience pain because they made men feminine. Not the world, it's easy for me to say, oh yeah, the world will experience pain. No, it won't. Because you do realize countries are very different. This is the scariest thing for me, and maybe it's for you. It's not that the world's men have become feminine. Go and look at the men in Russia. They're not feminine. You'll go for a handshake and they'll
And as a chatter pointed out earlier, extremely high suicide rate.
Crush your fucking hand. There are countries out there whose men are masculine, and they're looking over at some Western...
When you fucking shake every man in Russia's hand? Yeah, there's no Russian femboys, classically.
Countries right now just thinking, that's free lunch. That's easy over there. They've got women,
This dude thinks, like, Russian men are just gonna fucking turn into Vikings and just start taking women from America. Like, really? Yeah, more men need to wrestle grizzly bear cubs, yeah.
Resources. We should probably go and take it.
Bro, the Cold War. Yo, hey, Hamza? Hey, the Cold War. Guys, the Cold War. Russia isn't very good at just, like, taking over America. There was already a Cold War about it.
And we've lived in such safe times that it feels hard to believe that there's going to be a massive war. But if there is, I hope there isn't, but if there is, and the Western feminized man is going to go up against a traditional masculine man, it's going to be a fucking bloodbath.
How's Russia doing in the war against Ukraine? Russia is getting their absolute shit pushed in left and right. Russia is losing a war against a country like 1/10 of its size economically. Is Ukraine just more masculine? Then should we be more afraid of Ukraine than Russia? Why did you bring up Russia? That's a horrible example.
This propaganda, this weird...
Yeah, also it is low-key xenophobic, but that's like a conversation with nuance that his brain isn't able to comprehend.
Of masculine values, this demonization.
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, Wojak War too. What the fuck was that? Oh god, this guy's the worst.
This cancellation of masculinity in mostly the West, it is going to end very soon because they're going to need men like us.
This is cult shit. This is cult shit. This is literally like a call to action. This is so gross.
I'm going to start to praise the men who are waking up early and being disciplined because they're going to need us. As soon as the draft starts and it's time for men to be strong and
This guy is so sad. He just wants to be needed by someone. He just wants someone to need him and is predicting that it'll be society one day, so it's everyone.
Oh, your country needs you. That's when they'll want you. So far, they're telling you, yeah, shut the fuck up. Let's chop his dick off. Let's pump him full of shit that, like, lowers his testosterone levels. But as soon as it's time for war, you will be praised as a warrior. I don't know what decision you'll want to make then. I don't know what decision I'll make when it comes to that. Making this video has made me realize the tides are turning as we speak. Masculinity's been demonized for so long. And
Bro's just whipping himself into a frenzy.
I think that's about to end very soon. I can see that it's needed more than ever now. And not just for ourselves, our own individual growth, but actually for the countries that we live in. They need strong masculine men, and they're beginning to realize that now. So you want to become more masculine? Click and watch this full masculinity guide.
Oh my gosh, an hour and 20 minutes. And okay, I need you guys to realize something. Motherfuckers like this are not inspiring men. Like, a third of the comments that they get are literally like, bro, I don't know what to do. My world is basically coming to an end. You just told me that, like, everything I know was going to fall apart. I'm like, you have the only answers for me. Like, bro, that guy is more depressed for having engaged with your content. It's so sad. Men are giving up their masculinity thinking it's a bad thing. How horrible. This guy, Ninja, this guy lives in a world that is very sad for him. He lives in a fake world that he made up. that will make him more depressed and more aggressive and more toxic because he thinks he has to fight to keep himself the way he is rather than just embracing himself because that's not masculine enough. That's not actually ninja, guys. Without masculinity, we wouldn't be where we are now. Embrace it. You can say the same thing about fucking autism. It doesn't matter. I love being masculine. Remember, keep lifting, king. So sad. Fucking SA Andes too. All right, let's see. This video is a masterclass in not knowing what you're talking about. All you do is project the most pathetic insecurity I've ever seen. Fear mongering your audience into believing that there's a world that will eventually finally need pampered, lonely, mindless, boring narcissists like yourself. I know you want to be wanted one day, but maybe you should meet the task instead of hoping like a beta little man. How's that? Let's format it properly too. Yeah, you gotta call out the Snuggie. Nice Snuggie though, little bro. There, how's that? That's pretty good. Don't mention masterclass around these guys. You'll give them ideas. Yeah. Tell them women naturally produce the most testosterone when they're on their periods. Okay.